What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse ranch, no hate. Now, I want to talk to y'all just a little bit about Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. And I don't want to make this one too long, definitely. I just want to say this. Now everybody have their doubts, everybody have their thoughts, everybody feel what they're going to feel. It's all good. Now, for the people that's worrying that Anthony Joshua is not going to have enough time with Derrick James, he's not ready, he just had Garcia not too long ago. Garcia is a better trainer than Derrick James. I don't know that you can say that. I don't know that that's true. Every fight is not the same, and every trainer don't feel as comfortable with every fighter. Example, have you ever seen Angelo Dundee? Train and manage a guy like Joe Frazier or Mike Tyson or George Foreman type guy? Like, you understand? Now, same thing. Have you ever seen Customato manage a Sugar Ray Leonard type guy? A Roy Jones type guy? A Mayweather type guy? So you can't say that a trainer is better than another trainer. Certain trainers, in that sense, certain trainers might have a better stable of fighters. Now look at Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel Stewart helped guys to basically fight to their strengths. Okay, and he has a sharp mind for that. So Stewart may be better than all those guys. But could Emmanuel Stewart take Mike Tyson and have him to become a better fighter? The fighter has to listen. The fighter has to be comfortable doing what they're being told to do. So we can't judge it by that. My whole thing with Anthony Joshua has been, it's going to come down to what he's willing to do in that ring to win. His confidence, if for him to lack confidence because a fight's not going his way, for him to not be able to have the IQ to figure out what he needs to do, have a different approach, a different attack, then he's going to have problems with anybody that actually has a high ring IQ. Okay, especially if they really can slip punches and move. There's only one Usyk in the division. Okay, but at the same time, that's always been the thing with AJ. That's what we saw is the mental aspect after the Andy Ruiz fighting, things was just up and down with him. But here's what I'm going to say, okay? And this is not about positive thinking or wishful thinking. This is just reality for me, okay? We won't know what he has until he get in there. We won't know how he's going to handle Jermaine Franklin until he gets in there. Now, Jermaine Franklin showed he's not a pushover. He's just not a popular person. What I think, looking at his stature in Anthony Joshua's, and you can't give a person ability that they don't have, okay, by just imagining they're going to do this and that. People are saying he has to knock Franklin out, and he has to knock him out early. Now, I agree with that in terms of him impressing people to get the fans back on his side, because they're going to compare his performance to Dylan's performance. Now, my thing is, it doesn't matter if he knock him out or if he wins a decision, as long as he wins. His length, his reach, all of that stuff. He had all that stuff over Usyk as well, okay? He didn't use it properly. What knowledge he gained from those two fights with Usyk to go into this one, okay? Even though it's a different opponent, different type of fighter still and all, you're supposed to be able to take something away from every fight, win, lose, or draw. So we won't know until he gets in there. But to just say that he's not going to be ready because of Derrick James, well, people thought he was going to be better with Robert Garcia. And look what happened. He did do a little better, but he still lost unanimously. So we'll just have to see what happens. Now, as far as people thinking that he's going to change, like, listen, Derrick James has said over and over, but people don't listen. They keep saying the same things. It's not about trying to change Anthony Joshua. It's to help him to bring out things that he has in him that he needs to learn how to use, okay? It's as simple as, like, we're all born with fingers, thumbs, and, pinky, pointer, all that, middle finger, all that, feet. You have to learn how to use them. You're not just born knowing how to use this shit, right? Instinctively, certain things come to you, but when you start to learn why you do this, why do you even have fingerprints? You have people that don't even know. If you didn't have fingerprints, you went to pick something up, unless you squeeze extremely hard, yeah, stuff would be sliding right out your hand. Without your fingerprints, you have to squeeze harder than you really need to. Stuff like that, okay? It's learning. It's the same thing. He's learning. things that this is what you need to do. Now, what exactly is he learning? We don't know. And notice, we haven't even seen like real training footage of Anthony Joshua. You know, certain little things, which is what I think they need. I think that that's a cool thing because I feel like for Anthony Joshua, it showed that he's focused. He's always, that just because they show the videos don't mean he's not focused. We've seen videos of people that didn't look impressive at all, and people going, "Oh shit, you can see the skill difference." Oh really? Okay, I guess I missed it. At the end of the day, it's what he does in that ring, and that right there is going to have to be solid, and that's going to have to connect to this and this. Because he needs to understand, if I have to go to war, I have to go to war. The thing is with Jermaine Franklin, because he's not that well known and because Anthony Joshua was the new guy to hate, it becomes the thing of if he doesn't win in spectacular fashion, especially a knockout, and not just a knockout, but hurting this guy and punishing him and then getting him out of there, well, people are going to look at him and say, well, he struggled with him. Well, Dylan struggled. And I don't believe Deontay Wilder will be the next fight if he does win. I believe it's going to be Dylan. Okay, so then it's going to be a rematch between them. And at the end of the day, look, every fighter that get in that ring, except for some, most fighters all have losses. All right, almost all of them. The reality is, you win some, you lose some. How you bounce back, look at Nito Donaire. He looked like he was all but out, then he winds up knocking the guy out and becoming champion again. So it's one of these things where you have to look at things, realistically. So for Jermaine Franklin, he's the great unknown. He had one fight his whole career that people had eyes on him, and that was against Dylan. And most people feel like he won. So you can't have him going into this fight with AJ talking about, oh, he's a bum. No, Franklin's no bum. He's a good fighter. Like I said, he just doesn't have popularity. Now he went from Dylan to AJ. Okay, so if he pulls this one off, of course, I'm going to do a video about that, and, we'll go on into the career of Jermaine Franklin. But what I'm looking at in this fight with Anthony Joshua, people saying if he loses, his career is over and all this other stuff, the best thing for AJ is not to even pay that kind of stuff no attention, but understand I do need to win this fight. And I really feel like, now, personally, me, I think it would be in his best interest to not just win, but if he can go in there and beat this dude, AJ is too goddamn long. And the reason why people forget about his hand speed is because when he's unsure about what he's supposed to be doing, he pitter-patter with his shots and he doesn't let this hand speed come out. And you see that one round, I forgot what round it was, 8th or 9th or whatever round, against Usyk, we started lighting Usyk ass up. He started letting his hands go, but it's like you see what Usyk did. Immediately started to cover up. He didn't fight back. I mean, just, everybody thinks that Anthony Joshua is going to get punched out, and I think even him at times. So that being said, for AJ, if he's worried about gassing out, I don't like to imagine how the guy's going to fight. I mean, I look at it how I would train the guy, okay? We're all different people. But I look at that and I think, okay, if I was training him, this is what I would have him doing. I don't know what Derrick James is going to have him do. Okay, I have no idea exactly what Derrick James has him doing, what they're working on the most. I don't think Derrick James is just sitting there making up nonsense just to say it. Whatever they're doing is what they're doing. And I think that Anthony Joshua, like I said, as far as him reconnecting with the crowd and getting them to really get back on his side, I think he's going to have to win this fight in a much better fashion than Dillian Whyte did. And even at Dillian Whyte's best, nobody really saw him on the same level as Anthony Joshua. Certain people that Dillian Whyte diehard fans might have said, oh, I think he'll beat him in a rematch. But overall, he beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs or whatever. AJ knocked him out in the pros. So people in the pros are saying, oh, they're 1-1 now. Okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's the fight I think that he would have next. And really getting past Jermaine Franklin is the most important thing right now. But I think, and it would show, if he goes in there and take it to him the way he's supposed to, that he's back on the right path. If he dominates him, shuts him out, beat his ass, knock him out, or just completely beat the shit out of him, the ref stop it, whatever, as long as he looks impressive. But I think that a knockout is always more impressive to people. He go get a knockout, like I said, and look good doing it, That would definitely work for him. I mean, I watched Shane Mosley lose a bunch of fights, and then they put him in there with, Fernando Vargas. All of a sudden, he's right back in the mix. They put him in there with Margarito. He's right back in the mix, right? And that type of thing. People, when you're down, they want to kick you, but they don't want to see you get back up. I can't promise nothing about what AJ's going to do or not going to do. I don't know. We'll just have to see Saturday night. So, just saying, this whole thing with the trainers is like, I think people just putting too much emphasis on this stuff because it might come into play, it might not. But understand, you training every day in the gym. That's your learning tree. Okay, that's what you're preparing for. So it's not like when people go, I was rusty. It's not like that. These guys are going 12 to 15 rounds in sparring. So all of this talk about him not having enough time and he's a third trainer and all this. This is just a bunch of talk to build up interest for people to watch, give likes and views for videos because they're what if this, what if that. Okay, whatever. But it's going to come down to what he does in that ring. Derek James, any other trainer can give any fighter the knowledge. They can tell them what they need to be doing, but the fighter has to do it. They have to feel comfortable doing it. I will say that until I have no more life left to say it. Okay? They have to feel comfortable. And we'll find out. And as far as Jarrell Miller go, well, I was asked about that. Look, I don't see why Anthony Joshua would take a step back and fight him, simply because Jarrell Miller has not created a buzz for himself. Since his suspension, I think he's had, maybe this is his third or fourth fight, I'm not sure. And I didn't even know. I just happened to be sitting there looking at fights. And then I see Jarrell Miller versus Lucas Brown. I didn't even know that fight happened. And I know they never fought, back in the day. So I'm like, what? And it's the same Jarrell Miller. He comes forward, pressure, sloppy, wild punches. He has a good gas tank. He's a big 300-pound dude that throws a lot of punches. He doesn't punch that hard. He really doesn't have punching power. It's just an accumulation of punches. I always call him like a heavyweight Paul Williams, man. He just, no real power, just constant pressure. And if you're not in shape to fight at a faster pace, well, his weight and his pressure will obviously wear you out. That's how he beat the people that he's already defeated. Okay. But, him saying that Anthony Joshua has nowhere else to go after this fight, he has nowhere. Man, you got Frank Sanchez out there. You got Joe Joyce out there. You got Daniel Dubois out there. There's still names out there. My thing with what Jarrell Miller is saying, I can understand him trying to put himself, back in the mix, but he hasn't done anything to earn that fight. So to just come back and start saying that Anthony Joshua has nowhere else to go, well, that's him trying to sell himself, trying to get attention to himself, okay? He blew his chance by going to the damn pharmacy too many times, okay? And so how that goes, if that's a fight that Eddie Hearn and AJ entertain at some point, I mean, it is what it is. It's not something that I really care for. I mean, it's just another fight, but it's not a big fight for Anthony Joshua. This was just his American debut. And to be honest with you, the type of style that Jarrell Miller has, that come forward, he takes a lot of hits. He's there to be hit. And, he turns his head a lot where sometimes the shot's not landing flush, but he's very sloppy, very wild. And, I mean, really, truthfully, I don't see Anthony Joshua wasting his time with him. A guy like Jarrell Miller, come back and fight a Efe Ajagba. Fight a Frank Sanchez. Earn your way into that top spot. Not just come and leapfrog over people because y'all have unfinished business. No, you screwed that business up, man. You did that. So just saying that he has nowhere else to go, that's just him going into business for himself. He has plenty of options. Jarrell Miller's the one who has, he's the one that's struggling with options. Because I didn't even know. You guys tell me in the comment section if you saw the fight. I saw it on YouTube. Tell me in the comment section if you knew about the fight, if you even heard advertisement about the fight, or if you came across the fight the way I did. It just popped up on my feed. I didn't even type Jarrell Miller's name in. It just, Jarrell Miller versus Lucas Brown. What? And that was his last fight that recently just happened. And so now he's trying to get back into the mix, and that's my thing. I didn't even know that he had any fights. The only thing I heard from Jarrell Miller's mouth since the suspension was that he was fighting a kickboxing match, and I ain't look for that shit. But bottom line is, this is like his third or fourth fight back, and who knew? You don't hear anybody talking about Jarrell Miller fights. So he's trying to find himself back in the mix, and he had words with Dylan White, whatever, and that's all this is. Trying to get some attention. So it is what it is. But work your way back in, earn your spot, not just say things and then try to make it seem like somebody's, because he's like, fight me, you coward, and all this. Really? He was going to fight you, but clean. So that is what that is. I'm just looking forward to the fight Saturday, and we see what happens. Today is Thursday, and the 30th, and so we'll see how things go. Either AJ's going to win or he's not. We just see what's going on. We need to start getting some of these fresh faces up in there, win, lose, or draw. The Frank Sanchez's, Daniel Dubois didn't look so hot in his last fight. I mean, he came back and won, is what matters, but I mean, it was just weird how he kept going down and from shots that didn't even look that hard, and it was just weird. But, he won. So I don't think anybody, anybody looking at boxing right now in the heavyweight division, any division, but the heavyweight division, all these guys that's there, man, and the fact that 98% of the stories that you hear is about Usyk, Fury, Wilder, or AJ. I mean, when they're going to start pushing these other guys to start to get some light, Gerald Miller's he's no, he never made his stats to be up there with them, but he's no new guy. If he want to get back in the mix, let him earn it. Let him earn it. Unless he's afraid that he might get there one of them and then lose. And then blow his chance again, right? I don't know. Anyway, talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.